Hello, everybody. Welcome to a little bit of a shortened yet necessary edition of Wiz Talk with Chase. I am your host, Chase Coburn, here today. Yes, folks, it is true. Jonathan Kuminga is rumored to possibly be traded in a sign and trade from the Golden State Warriors to the Washington Wizards. This is coming from NBC Sports, CBS Sports, a few different reports here on July 4th. Happy Independence Day for all those here in America. They said the teams that are interested in Jonathan Kuminga include the Sacramento Kings, Washington Wizards, Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks, and Brooklyn Nets. Those said the Kings and the Wizards have been the teams to gain the most momentum. This is a guy in Jonathan Kuminga who declined a 5-year, $150 million extension that Golden State offered him last summer to bet on himself, and the decision did not go well. He regressed from the previous season in points and efficiency and really did not play a major part down the stretch, especially once Jimmy Butler was traded to Golden State. However, I love this idea for the Washington Wizards in the simple facet of this is a guy who is still very young, still a guy who was a first-round draft pick just a few years ago, and he hasn't really been able to be in a system in Golden State that could allow him to unleash his potential and try things out and really see what he can work through here as a star player. I mean, this is a guy we're talking about here in Jonathan Kuminga, who's had to play alongside Steph Curry, had to play alongside Klay Thompson, had to play alongside Draymond Green, Jordan Poole at a time, as well as some others, and obviously now Jimmy Butler kind of taking up his position. So he really hasn't had an opportunity to unleash those skills. If we can see him do that in Washington, he could be a focal part of this offense as the starting small forward. Now, the question would obviously be, what would Washington pay him and what would they have to give up? Kuminga, again, declined in an extension from Golden State last summer. That would have been $30 million per year. Apparently, he would want that or more. However, it doesn't look like the asking price is there for a guy like Jonathan Kuminga to be at $30 million. I would expect it more to be at 20 to 25 million, which I think the Wizards could take on a 4 or 5 year extension because, number one, if things don't go well, we saw how the Wizards can deal Jordan Poole. We know that they can get off some of these big contracts. The only negative would be that Washington would not have as much salary room next summer because what would probably have to happen is they'd have to give up one of McCollum, Middleton, or Marcus Smart in the deal. Most likely a guy like McCollum or Smart, in my opinion, for the Warriors to add guard depth. That would probably make the most sense. But then we'd be giving up one of those expiring contracts for a guy like Kuminga, who's under contract for more years. So the Wizards would no longer have the $100 million in cap space next summer. It would be more like $70 million or $65 million, which is still a really decent amount in cap space because they have so many expiring contracts coming on the books. But to me, if on the Wizards, you're giving up one of those guys, I would be okay taking that risk because we can talk about this. The free agents in next year's class are not exactly elite. So I don't think the Wizards are really going to be opening the bank and just paying everybody and their mother in free agency next summer. I think it's really going to be predicated around one or two players. So I think they can afford to give a guy like Kuminga this contract. I think it would be a great fit. I think it could be an opportunity for Kuminga to really expand his skill set and for Washington to see what they really have at small forward and maybe build kind of a core here around Jonathan Kuminga as one of those star players. Because again, this was a guy who was a 7th overall draft pick, and I think he could add a ton of value to this Wizards roster. Again, we'll have to keep up in the next few days. Happy July 4th again. Jonathan Kuminga, rumored to possibly be traded to the Washington Wizards. We'll keep you updated as more reports happen. Thank you guys for watching this shortened episode of Wiz Talk with Chase. I'm your host, Chase Coburn, and happy 4th.